Hey, One Tree Hill fans. Thanks for being here. I just finished the latest podcast for season 2, episode 15, Unopened Letter to the World. And again, so much insight, I feel like, on every episode. Even when they start to get a little off course, I still enjoy listening, which is unusual because usually that annoys me. So I think they just have such a good energy on the podcast. And I like a lot of the things they pointed out, especially about Joy not being in this episode and how it does really feel like everybody's missing their almost like not even mother as much, but like maybe their moral compass. Because it feels like when Haley's not around, it is sorely missed. So let's get into this episode. Oh, right off the bat, poor Nathan, you can't trust anybody, you don't know anybody. It's easy to feel that way. I do sympathize with him on that. I love that they start with the time capsule video from 1955 of this young man talking about how it's not hard for him to be in a relationship as long as you're with somebody that, feels the same way you do. And it's like this contrast with Nathan watching it and him being so heartbroken and hearing that. And he's just so angry. It's like, I love Whitey though. I love every scene that Whitey's in. Am I the only one? Even though I always maintain that Jake and Peyton weren't really at that right time in their life to be fully together forever, they were in a good moment for what they were in that moment. And I do think that Jake and Peyton were always very cute together. I mean, Jake was written so completely wonderfully, which is pretty cool considering the people that were generally writing the show didn't always have that kind of idea for guys. So Jake is very much a dreamboat in a lot of ways, not just his looks, it's his mind and it's his persona and personality, and he's just a very sweet guy. Peyton's time capsule video entry was a little inappropriate. She's all like, "Oh, hey, Jenny, happy, oh, wow, how many years you're gonna be, and your dad's still a fox." I'm like, okay. Okay, so I'm always torn about Andy and his pursuit of finding something bad about Dan, which honestly shouldn't be hard for anybody to find, because Dan has a plethora of secrets in his life. But it's like, I know that on the podcast they were saying, oh, how great it is that, like, how manly Andy is and how he's doing trying to help Karen. And I'm sorry, I've never really felt that from Andy. I mean, I know that he has money and power, but like his personality specifically, I've always kind of felt like it's like, yes, you mean well, and I know you mean what you say, but it's like, it's always like, oh, you're adorable. Like, it's just like, I don't know if it's because of Andy's personality solely, or if it's because of Dan being who Dan is and just being so formidable and so unrattled by anything, really. And even if he is rattled, he just bounces back, and he's so evil and so diabolical. So it's just like, I don't know if it's solely Andy or if it's just because Dan is just who Dan is, Lucas giving Brooke that book and her being totally into it was really cute. And then, of course, Felix has to come and ruin it, being all threatened by Lucas. And, oh, I'm going to throw you a party. It's like this one-ing up of pee-pee contest. Okay, so I actually agree with what Joy said on the podcast in regards to Keith buying Jules the house. Yes, that's a very nice gesture, but I totally get what she meant by, you don't really buy someone a house because that's a huge freaking investment. And it's like, it's not really like something it's not like something you can just return back to the store, And I do kind of see what Joy is saying. Like, Keith really does seem to need that validation and acceptance from Jules, and he's buying this house, and yes, they're gonna get married and they're starting a life, but it's like, dude, what if she doesn't like the house? What if there's a bad vibe to her, or just anything? It's like, you should really have done that together. You should have been like, hey, let's buy a house. Let's go look at houses. I mean, I get he's on the grand gesture scale of things, but I agree with Joy. I do see it as a type of almost desperation in that move. And while I don't think that it necessarily says, oh, Keith would do big things without you, it could suggest that. And it's like, well, he did do this big thing without really, even talking to her about it. So in that respect, it really doesn't set a good precedent overall for the future of the relationship. Then again, with what those of us who know or in the know about this specific relationship, we know it's kind of not great anyway. Oh my god, and Nathan and Dan's like, how are you? And Nathan's like, drunk, bitter, kind of like mom. Burn. There are these moments with Dan that make you want to believe. I think I've said it before. They make you want to believe that he is not this monster, but he's a good actor. Paul's a great actor. Dan's a good actor. And he's like, oh, don't shut me out, or your brother, we're all working together now. And he's like, okay, bye, I quit. It's like, Dan, stop talking. I do agree with what they said on the podcast about really missing the presence of Haley in this episode. And Luke is specifically on the video capsule saying how he wished she had called him before she left, but that he understands why she left. And he just wanted not to talk her out of it, but to just say, I love you. And you can just feel the friendship, the missing of the friendship, and it's just really sweet. Oh my god, Nathan is so mad. He's like, I'm painting the walls pink because she hates pink, and I'm painting over her face pink, and I'm putting a clown picture there because she hates clowns. It's like, oh my god, are you 5? I know that Brooke was like trying to make Peyton feel good about her upcoming date with Jake, but I feel like she put more pressure on Peyton, like just the way she spoke about the whole thing. Truth. Sex is the easy part. Giving your heart is the hard part. Okay. I love that Karen was able to say the assy ass like whole lines to Dan so convincingly. Because as I said on the podcast, there's certain things you can't say on TV, so you have to make certain things work. But like, he is a shark. And it's like, I get her frustration. I get the outburst, but it's like, it really didn't make her look good. And everybody at that table knew it. And but it sucks though, because when the guy is like, Lucas, where do you want to live? And you just see how much this is killing her. Okay, watching Andy play with Jenny, super adorbs. But it says then you have this moment where Karen's just like so heartbroken. Because he's like, how did it go? And she's like, he chose his father. I mean, I like that Andy is so supportive of Karen and he's just like, we're going to fix this. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, guys generally tend to say things like that to make you feel better. Guys will tell you a lot of things, even with the best intentions in the moment to make you feel better. So it's like, it's really hard to believe that because it's like, Andy, you're rich, you have money, you have power, you're a smart guy, but you're young and you don't know Dan, you don't know this situation, you're new here, and it's like, it's really nice of you to say that, but it's like, the reality of the situation is so much different than I think he really fully can grasp. I do like that when Brooke gets to the party that Felix is throwing for her, she seems very almost uncomfortable in that setting now. Like they said on the podcast, she's growing, she's evolving. She's like, maybe this isn't really my scene anymore. And it's such a contrast to see Erica Marsh from this little, goody, like getting drunk at this party and being like she used to be. And it's also like a mirror to herself. Like, oh, gee, did I act this way? Like, it's kind of interesting how some people we meet in our life do kind of hold a mirror to us or our previous actions to make us really fully realize where we were at and how far we've come and grown and how changed we really are. So there was a lot of mirroring in that moment for Brooke, I think, and seeing her and Mal's kind of awkwardly, they're getting back to being friends again, and that's really cool. Stupid Tim, all on the freaking time capsule talking about, oh, I date all the hotties. I'm dating Brooke Davis. I do like that Mouth and Anna kind of bond over their individual, like, hey, I did something I regret and I wish I could erase it. And she's like, well, hey, you can help me erase mine. Let's break into the school. No problem. Okay, I totally forgot that Dan gave freaking Lucas a Porsche. Like, what? And then here comes Nathan stealing the keys, and Lucas is like, what are you doing? You've been drinking. The fact that Nathan happened to throw his beer cup onto a cop car as he sped by. Okay, I don't think anybody wanted these two to brotherly bond in like this. But then it's like, I'm calling bullshit. There's no way those two big ass boys switch seats that quickly and that easily, especially with the cops right behind them. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. How cute are Peyton and Jake on this date? And he's all like, oh yeah, I told him not to do the breeze too hard and the stars just right. It's like, very cute, Jake. Very cute. Oh my god, I love that Karen's like, oh, he chose his father over me. What's next? The life of crime? Ring, ring. Hey, Mom, I'm in jail. You got a quarter? Great. Call the father you love so much. Mic drop, or should we say phone drop? Oh, Tim. I was like, oh, the new girl Anna's into me. Yeah. And then, like, they come across Brooks. I'll probably be married to someone like Marvin McFadden. Anna's like, who's that? Oh, it's you? I agree with what they said on the podcast. I really love that Brooke is the one that sees Erica so drunk with this dude and just gets her out of the situation and gets her home, and the whole, yes, Brooke invented Uber. And Peyton and Jake they do have chemistry. I'm not going to say they don't. They totally are adorable together. Oh my god, Nathan's so angry. And he just was like, oh, you're chasing after a daddy that doesn't even want you. And like, why? You think your dad will like you better than me? It's like, oh, kind of like your wife likes Chris better than you. And they're just all fighting in the jail. Like, good job, guys. But I guess it is their bonding. Well, I'm glad we got to see Brooke's time capsule. I feel so like they should not be watching this. Does anybody else find it hilarious that they handcuffed Nathan and Lucas to separate sides of the cell, but they didn't put them in separate cells, even though there's nobody else in the jail? Hilarious. Lucas drops all the bombs about Keith and Jules to Nathan. I like that Nathan's like, what else you got? And he's like, that's it. It's like, oh, you didn't tell him, are you really also staying with Dan? And it's just, but it's such a moment because Nathan is so heartbroken. He's like, no, well, of course, nobody stays faithful anymore. And she left. I kind of hate when Lucas says, oh, Haley had a dream. And then Nathan's like, no, she left to be with Chris. It's like, no, she didn't. She had a dream, you nut. It's like, I do agree with the podcast when they say how Peyton and Jake about to have sex and then he finds the condoms, and instead of that moving that progression forward, they stop and they have a nice conversation, and it's very sweet. It's another very Jake Jagelski thing to do. Oh my god, Jules praying in the church and Dan's like, are you praying for a miracle? And she's like, I'm gonna tell Keith. And he's like, maybe you won't have to. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. I won't say anything. And she's like, I don't believe you, which she has every right not to believe him. He's so good at the slimy, oh my god, you never know what to believe when it comes to Dan, but that's what's so brilliant about Paul's performance of Dan, the character. It's like, damn, you just nail this role, like every scene. Oh, Mouth and Anna are so cute, but it's just like, honestly, with a brother like Felix, I don't blame Anna for being terrified to tell her truth. It's like, I don't blame you. So it's really cool that Mouth could help her, because like Mouth is always just helping everybody. He is a good guy. Brooke saying her parents recently sold one of the O's in her name, so now she's Broke Davis. That's a good one. so much happens when Dan bails the guys out of jail. And then he's like, oh, you told Nathan everything. Well, almost everything. Well, about Keith and, Deb. And he's like, good, you should have. And then he's like, yeah, Lucas, go with Nathan. He needs a friend tonight. And it's like this. It's like, okay, in that moment, you're being a good dad. But it's like, again, it's so hard to take him seriously because I just feel like every single thing he does and says has an ulterior motive for his own evil purposes. And it's just so much happening there because then Lucas is like, thank you, Dad. Like, you can tell he's like choking on the word, and then it's just self-satisfied smirk that comes over Dan's face. And then here comes Karen walking out from the door, at the door area of the police. She showed the cop station. She showed up, and they just look at each other. It's like so much going on there. Just the emotions of being angry and hurt, and just her heart is breaking. And it's like, the emotions that play across Dan and especially Karen's face in that moment are just palpable. It's incredible. Bravo to the acting of both of them. I agree with the podcast once again about what Lucas tells Nathan. Yeah, she kissed Chris, but she married you, and I think that wins out. I think that wins out over some confused kiss. Very good line. And then it got better when he's like, hey, Haley fell for you when you were a different guy, a lesser guy. So remember who Haley is even when she's lesser. Boom, Lucas, coming with the truth for Nathan, huh? I like that Brooke and Felix had that moment where, she's like, I don't hate you, but she's basically saying, things are changing, man. I'm changing. I'm evolving. And when he hugs her, you can just kind of see the look on her face like, this might not be right anymore. Lucas and Nathan ending up back on the b-ball court, and he's just like, you told me, just got to play through the pain, and one day it gets easier. And Nathan actually looks in this moment like he's accepting that information, and he's not being a little asshole right in this moment. I do like when Mouth asks Anna, don't hit on Brooke. I have enough competition for her already. Anna's entry into the time capsule, her re-entry, was really good. And we all are just trying to find our way. Jake on his time capsule saying, I'm falling in love. Meeting with Peyton. Cute. I totally forgot that, like, the main reason Lucas is really staying with Dan is because he's trying to find a way to, tear him down, to stop him and set everybody free, as he said on his time capsule entry. It's like, totally I forgot about that. Oh my God. That ending though. And I thought that was Whitey's entry capsule entry from like 50 years ago. And then like the end definitely alludes that it is. And he's just like, oh, it's so beautiful. Cause like, he's like talking about how he wanted to grow old with his wife, and then she died, and then he wanted kids and they couldn't, but he's talking about have a boy to teach right and from wrong. But you see all the pictures of his past, basketball teams. It's just so beautiful. I love Whitey. He's just sitting there crying at his desk. It's like, okay, you're going to make me cry. Okay, so I know this was a hella long video, but there was a lot of points I had to make through this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. Until next time.